We are going to have a very good time tonight. I am so grateful for this opportunity. Of course, if you're joining us for the very first time, we are Community Missionary Baptist Church. We are located in Cedar Hill, Texas, and in DeSoto, Texas. And we have the awesome privilege of being led and pastored by our senior pastor, Reverend Oscar D. Epps. And tonight is going to be a very good night, not because of me, but because of these wonderful
Couldn't
people
help
that I
yourself.
have
You just couldn't help yourself.
on this
He
panel.
likes it.
I want to start to my immediate right and tell us something about yourself, who you are, and why you feel blessed to be sitting on a panel with these auspicious people.
To your right? Why am I blessed to be sitting to your right? I am Raquel Rocky Jones. I'm the presiding judge of the 203rd Judicial District Court here in Dallas County, Texas. And I am blessed and highly favored
Come on now.
to be sitting on this panel with all of these esteemed fellow panelists. So thank you for inviting me. And as a member of CMBC, I am very proud to be here today and closing out this Black History Month with a bang. So
Yeah,
thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, thank you. Well, my name is Ken Waters. I'm Councilman Ken Waters for the city of DeSoto and for Place 3. And actually, I was visiting the church Sunday, and then someone came up to me and said, hey, you want to be on this podcast for Black History? I said, well, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's my first podcast. So,
Well, welcome.
Great.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yay.
but yeah, I'm glad to be here, though. Glad to be here.
That's good. That's good.
Good. Well, I am Mayor Rachel Proctor, the very proud mayor of the city of DeSoto, and I am just glad to be invited. I never take these opportunities lightly, and so I am not a member of community, but I feel like I'm at home whenever I'm here, and so I'm just blessed and honored to be here with you all tonight and looking forward to the conversation.
All right.
How long have you been the mayor of the city of
So I have been officially the mayor for 5 years this past month, actually, February 2nd.
Congratulations.
21.
Yeah.
However, I was a council person long before that. I started on city council in March of 2013, so I've been around a long time.
Oh, that's what's
And
up.
I grew up in DeSoto, graduated from DeSoto High School, so I'm a proud Eagle.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's what's
yeah,
up.
Been around DeSoto a long time.
All right. Drum roll, please. I am the James H. Alexander Jr., hailing from Waco, Texas. 254 is where I was born and raised, and I am the proud pastor of the Greater Ideal Missionary Baptist Church over down the street, around the corner in Oak Cliff, on the corner of Bonneview and Overton. Love what I do. I have roots here at Community, where I did serve as a member from 2007. I'm still a part of y'all. Just I'm married and got my own house now. So, but I'm glad to be here. Love Strike Back. Love to be a part of this awesome panel. I'm ready to dig into this subject. Let's get with it.
All right, so tonight we want to really do what I call a kind of deep dive into the whole Black History Month, the significance of Black History Month. But we want to look at how faith and politics and grassroots movements, how they have shaped and advanced this country. Black history, in my estimation, is something that we should be very proud to be associated with. When we look at recently, we lost an iconic figure
Yeah.
in the person of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and did so much. I remember as a child watching him say, "You must be proud. I am somebody."
I am
I
somebody.
never forgot that on Sesame Street, you know. And I was all the way in Trinidad back then, and that was echoing, you know, deep into the recesses of my mind. So we lost him, and he has contributed so much to this country. And I want to start on that note because it's a little controversial, but I think it's personal for me as a black person, that he was not, in my humble estimation, given the rightful honors that he should have been given. His body
Right.
should have been lying in state.
Yeah.
The flag should have been at half mast,
Yeah.
which was done for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into that. And I want to come to you,
Yeah.
Mayo. What are your thoughts when you see that a brother that has contributed so much to who we identify ourselves as, not given the honor that he should rightfully be given?
Well, you know what, when I was looking at it, obviously devastated when I heard the news, but I was looking at social media. And one of the things I noticed online, and obviously I don't follow everybody that's online, there are millions, if not billions of people on social media, but one of the things that I noticed is that it felt like everybody had a picture with Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
And what that told me, when we think about like grassroots and things and what it really takes to touch lives, he appeared to be everywhere.
Right.
He was always a man amongst the people.
Yeah.
He was never too busy. I remember the first time that I had an opportunity to meet him, and I remember walking away from the interaction feeling like he was very interested in what I had going on. He was very encouraging. I was not even the mayor at that time. I was a member of city council, but he talked about, just getting out there, having that representation and all the things. But I looked at how it felt like he touched so many lives in a very personal way, and I think that's so important.
Right.
Especially when we talk about how you make a real impact. It
Yes.
starts with the individual person, and so that's one of the things that I loved about him. And one of the things that I'm doing, I absolutely agree that he has not been given, I think, the recognition and the honor that he deserves with all that he has contributed and the representation. But we are going to make sure that in the city of DeSoto, he gets that
good.
honor,
Right.
even with the flags flying at half-staff.
Right.
And so, I think I absolutely agree that he did not get the representation and the honor that he deserves.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Judge Jones?
I agree 100%. So I recall the first time that he ran for president.
Yeah.
And as we have had discussions and as I've talked to people today just at work, and I was talking to one of my bailiffs, and she's a millennial, I'll say. And we were having that discussion about the fact that if there were not a Jesse Jackson, there would
Right.
not have been a Barack Obama.
Yeah.
If there weren't
Correct.
a Jesse Jackson, there wouldn't be a Raquel Rocky Jones that's able to run for and get elected to a district bench. And for so many years, Dallas County they didn't have people that looked like me
Correct.
that were sitting there. They didn't have people that looked like all of us that
Right
were
on.
in some of the positions and seats that we have. And so I vividly do remember my mom with that bumper sticker that said, "Run, Jesse, run."
Right. Right.
I didn't know where Jesse was running from or to, but I knew he was supposed to run.
Right.
And so when you think of that, and even when we make light of it, keep hope alive, it is
Yeah.
things that he said that resonated with
Yeah.
us, and they still resonate to this day.
Yeah. Councilman.
Well, I mean, I never personally met him, but obviously he's an icon. He's worked with Martin Luther King and everything like that. So he's always been like a living legend, if you will. in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
So I remember those days in the '80s. He's running. I was a little kid, of course.
Oh. I think you're throwing shade, but
But I do remember, when speaking of Barack Obama, during his inauguration speech, if you remember, he had tears.
The
running
tears.
down his
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah.
I could feel the passion in his soul that he never thought really
He would live
he
to
would
see
have
that.
that would happen.
yeah.
And it was like I almost felt like he felt like his work was almost I won't say complete, but everything he was working for is finally
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
to fruition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was really a touching moment.
I like how
Yeah.
you put that.
Yeah.
Reverend D, you're a pastor. Reverend Jesse Jackson had that whole pastoral blood in his veins.
Right.
What are your thoughts as you reflect on the legacy of this?
Well,
this
I think all has been said of his contributions to us people of beautiful ebony hue. He made us feel proud to be who we are.
Right.
That I am somebody. I
Yeah.
may be poor, but I am somebody.
yeah.
And I was a little boy when that was going. when that was happening. But to get to your question about the disrespect of not honoring him to be at the Capitol, I had this discussion earlier with a friend. I'm no longer surprised, but equally disgusted.
Right.
Right? It's some silly things going on in this climate, this political climate that we have. So I'm not surprised. But the one thing that I do know, you can attempt to suppress, but you can't suppress greatness.
Yeah.
And so what, we didn't get to be where we should be, but you can't deny the impact that he's made. And so, yeah, we have other ways. And like you said, we can do our own thing. We don't have to do what everybody else does.
Yeah.
We can still do what we do to show the honor and respect he is definitely due.
That's right. I want to go through some dates. We're looking at again Black History. If you're joining us on tonight, we are focusing on the impact that Black history has made in terms of where we are at today as a people. And when we think of 1619, that's the first documented enslaved Africans came in Virginia. The 1619 project is huge in terms of curriculum. Further north, and in this part of the country, it really is not. 1863 Emancipation Proclamation, 1954 Board versus Brown of Education, 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 the Voting Rights Act, and of course 2008 first Black U.S. president. Let's look at the timeline. Let's look at how this has impacted on how we today view life. I feel proud when I see certain things, but there are still some things that we see that really causes us to wonder if we are moving forward backwards sometimes.
And Reverend Ramey, can I add some dates to those timelines?
sure.
Come on, because
All
we
right.
can't skip 2020.
So,
I'm with you.
we can't surpass or skip 1906,
Come on now.
1908,
Yeah.
1911, and 1913.
That's right.
Because we can't talk about Black history if we don't talk about in these dates here
Yeah.
that it is our historically Black Greek letter organization.
That's right.
Right.
So go on, say it, Reverend A. You want to do it?
Us brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, ice cold, boldest, oldest, and the ice coldest fraternity on the planet. We played a part in history because
Yes.
part of one of our campaigns of voteless people is a hopeless people, pushing for those milestones to be recognized, and I don't want to go on and on bragging about the fraternity, but that is one of the objectives, is to the better making of men, and doing it in a way that is in tune with political climate, but yet in touch with who we represent.
Right.
And so these organizations in these institutions of higher learning have definitely played a high role in the shaping of what we call Black history.
Absolutely. And I think I think our organizations, our Greek letter organizations, don't get enough credit for our involvement, because most of the time people that are not involved or don't have that much knowledge about our origin and how
Come
we
on.
started and what we were founded on think we're there to step in. There were social clubs, but
That's the
absolutely
byproduct.
right.
Yes.
That's what we
That's
celebrate
the fun
after your
stuff.
work.
That's the fun stuff.
Come on,
But
come on.
But, you know, when we talk about our involvement in the civil rights movement,
yeah.
just all the things
Yeah.
and our founders and what they stood for, and when you look at the magnitude of what our founders were able to accomplish
Come
in
on.
the climate,
In the climate they
in
were
the
in.
era
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they did it
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
and our organizations are many of them are excelling over 100 years old.
Absolutely.
And they were able to found something that would
Absolutely.
outlive them and create the legacy that we have.
Yeah.
Is absolutely incredible to think about what
Mm-hmm.
they had to endure. And sometimes I think about the stuff I'm going through, and I get a little ashamed to
Right,
even
right. To try to
sweat the
compare
stuff
it.
we sweat,
small stuff.
considering
Yeah.
what they went through to found the things that sometimes we even take for granted,
right.
as far as
Yeah.
the letters that we
You're right.
wear and what they actually
Absolutely,
represent.
absolutely.
And so I guess that's it, Reverend Ramey, whether it's Alpha Phi Alpha, whether it's Alpha Kappa Alpha, whether it's Kappa Alpha Psi, or when I think about Delta Sigma Theta, yes, they were there in 1913
Come
at
on.
the Women's
Come on.
Suffrage March.
Yeah.
Come on,
Right.
They
come on.
said, you got to stand at the back of the line. We were like, okay,
But we here.
we'll stand at the back of the line, but we're going to be loud and we're going to be proud.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so the reason I thought it was important for us to put those timelines in,
Mm-hmm.
because as we always say, we were the first to get in the fight for
Yeah.
civil
Right,
rights.
right.
Yeah.
That happened way before,
Way before.
1954.
Come on.
You know,
Come
that
on.
happened way before 1964 with the Civil Rights Act. And then, of course, with the Voting Right Acts. I mean, what do we always say? Somebody bled, died, and cried.
Yeah.
Correct.
For us to be able to
Yeah.
vote and for us to be able to even talk about this timeline today.
And even these individuals that we're talking about were parts of the Divine Nine. I mean, you
All
have
of 'em.
Reverend Jackson. He was an Omega Psi Phi man.
Proud member.
Dr. Martin Luther King, an Alpha man.
Yeah.
Miss Rosa Parks, an Alpha Kappa Alpha. So these monumental momentous people
Yeah.
were still a part of
Yes.
what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I just want to say to our listening audience, you can drop your comments in the chat. We will try our best to respond to those comments. I wanna shift the narrative a little bit. This whole idea of protest, and we know a lot of these fraternity organizations continue to be at the very forefront of meaningful protests. I remember when the Black Lives Matter and our good brother Floyd was murdered.
George Floyd, yeah.
They were like the first people that were up front. Is protest still necessary, or has influenced shift policy rooms? I want to come to you, Mayor. Do you think that protest is still necessary?
I think it is. I think it is still necessary, but I think you also have to couple that with policy. I think protest brings attention, right?
Right.
Protest creates the pressure sometimes that's needed in order to get people to move. I absolutely do. And I think there's different types of protests.
Correct.
I think when we see protest, right, we think of marching down the street, holding our signs, and that is one form of it. But even when we look at Target, right?
Still ain't
Yeah.
winning. I still ain't shopped at.
Yeah.
And for most of us, it doesn't even cross our mind, right?
Correct, right.
That's a form of protest.
Yeah.
So I think that protest is absolutely necessary, but you also do have to couple that with policy. I think policy creates the structure and the things that we need in order to follow. So I think they're both important and they have to go hand in hand. But I absolutely think protest is still relevant.
So I want to come to you, Councilman. Do you think, as we think about protests and policy, do you think that as we look at what's happening in our political and even our social landscape now, that we are experiencing progress, or are we repositioning?
Well, in my opinion, we're really repositioning because I hate to say it, but we've been, protesting and going through the struggle for how many years now? So, and I know you're gonna get on this later, but the wealth gap is just getting bigger, bigger, bigger.
Right.
And so, anyway, I think that, like the mayor said, I agree. It does have a place, but as far as protesting, to be honest with you, it's been more neutralized because the reason I'm saying that is because it worked very well, like in the civil rights era, but it's been neutralized more and more and more. So it's less and less and less effective. Now, I do want to say this to the audience. Now, a wise man told me this. He was a wealthy guy. He said that, there's always going to be problems, of course. You're going to always have, everybody has problems, right? But especially in America, African Americans are going to go through extra problems with the racism and, different things that we have to go through. But, what he said is that, at some point, if you really want to make a change, I mean, you can fight City Hall, but if you want to make a change, you need to become City Hall.
Okay, that's good.
And he said that, you're going to speak on power here in a minute. But he said, if given the choice between power and authority, always choose authority because authority dictates what power can do. So if you want to really make the change, then you need to get in the seats of power,
Correct.
Of authority, I should say.
Correct.
And not just politics, but in your organizations, in your businesses, in your boardrooms, nonprofits. It don't matter. Try to get in leadership positions because when you're in leadership positions, you can actually affect change instead of always being reactive to it.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
of course, we still live in America. You're not going to be able to change everything, but you want to try to at least change what you can locally, like
That's good.
in your small circle. If everybody concentrate on changing things in your small circle, then we collectively will do better as a nation.
Right.
So
Right.
let me come to you, Reverend A, because I like where the conversation is going. You're a pastor. I know where your church is. It's in a neighborhood where I think there is so much social issues that exist.
Yeah.
And the church, I know you are making a significant impact there by some of the programs and initiatives that you have shaped in that area. But let's look at it from a historical standpoint. How do you believe or see the Black church in terms of historically shaping political movements?
Back in the civil rights movement, the Black church was the cornerstone. It was the foundation. It was the backbone. That's where you, first of all, were informed.
Yes.
That's where you planned, and that's where you executed. And Black leaders were worthy of the title leader and were respected as such. Over time, though, this is what has happened, unfortunately. the power that the black church used to have in the neighborhood has dissipated. I think partly because the black church has moved out of the black neighborhood. Let's just
Well,
go there
you better
first.
preach.
All right.
Preach, preacher.
Your black churches in the suburbs where a lot of urban people not getting touched by that. You still got some smaller churches, but the big churches, they get big enough, they move away. Well, I've already vowed to Greater Idea, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to stay here because this is where people live. The goal ain't to separate. Excuse me for using ain't, but I'm talking how we talk. I really think that we have gotten away from unifying. We have developed a us versus them mentality even amongst our own people. We bad, but we not that bad.
Right.
We got issues, but not your issues. Not realizing that their issues are our issues.
Right.
And so I just believe that we've gotten away from, rightly so, the trust of the black church.
Yeah.
Because let's just go on and call it what it is. The black church has been a help, but it also has been a hindrance to a lot of people. The black church has been responsible for ostracizing, for taking advantage of people. And so we need to identify and at least admit, somewhere along the lines we got it wrong, but let's get to the roots of where it used to be, where we cared about our neighbor, where we actually gave food when the cameras weren't rolling. We had closets to have somebody to get something to wear without an article being printed, without a Facebook Live. It was because that's what we did. So we have to look at the motive. Why do you do what you do? Are you doing it because it's a good look for your likes, or is it that you're following what the word says? When I was hungry, did you feed me?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the political climate, I also believe that I do believe that politics does have a place in the church. All right. A lot of people say, no, we don't do politics, but Jesus was all about politics,
He
right?
was the ultimate politician.
And so, and then there have been some entities that have quelled our ability, because for a while, if you were 501c3, it was only so much you could talk about in the pulpit, and for us that had to depend on that. But see, bigger churches that didn't need that money, they could say what they wanted to, and there was no repercussions. So there have been a lot of things in place to muzzle the black church, but then some of that is from our own doing within. We've gotten away from the unity that and the not so much the authority, but the respect that you had for the black church and its leaders.
Yeah.
Judge Jones, I want to ask you this to give some reflective thought on the whole idea of church. You're a part of a church. You have been here for a minute. You are involved in some of the civic action that the church is involved in. Do you believe that the church does have a critical role to play in terms of teaching the next generation? Because in my estimation, preacher said it very well yesterday, we can't stop at Martin Luther King. That seems to be, if you talk to a young black person, that's what they say. The dates that we are quoting and all that we are talking about, that's over their head. And then we are in an environment on this part of the country where that is not a part of school curriculum. So how important do you think the role of the church should be as it relates to passing those lessons on?
I think it's very important. I think it's like, Reverend A said, it used to be that's where we came and got our history, right? They didn't depend on the teachers. I mean, people act like critical race theory just started, right? But if we think about the 50s, the 60s, think about our parents and grandparents' generation, they didn't have teachers that looked like us, so they weren't learning the things. It was the church that taught them. It was your Martin Luther Kings from the pulpit. It was your Malcolm X's. It was your Marcus Garvey's. It was people that, yes, our kids don't even know about. I was thinking driving over here, I was like, if we took a poll, if we talked to our kids right now and asked them who is Hakeem Jeffries, they wouldn't know. If you ask them who is Cory Booker, they wouldn't know. They may know who Barack Obama is. They may, and it might be just because of the caricature that he did a few weeks ago of the former First Lady and the former First President. I mean, of President of the United States. But they don't really know. So I think that the church has kind of, as we've all said, lost its steam in the fact that that's where we got our education from. When they were meeting in the church basements, right? when they first founded the NAACP, they used to meet in the church.
Right.
That's where they used to meet, and that's where kids first got their education. I mean, the Little Rock Nine, that formed, those were churches that formed these, as we were talking about protest, I like to say maybe mobilization, right? So I saw something on the way here that was very, very encouraging. So yesterday in church, we did have an announcement where we were doing CNBC will meet at the polls. So we went out to the polls today. A lot of the congregation came out there, and someone showed me a video. And they were like, Judge Rocky, did you see what the TSU students did? And I was like, what'd they do? They actually marched from campus all the way down to a polling site. And it was just so amazing to see young people. They were actually leading this march, and you see people coming out of buildings, you see people getting out of their cars. I mean, older people. And they were just so happy and excited to see these young, I mean, we're talking 19, 20.
Right.
You're talking about people who are freshmen and sophomore in college, and they had their NCNW shirts on and their NAACP shirts, and that's when you realize if we don't keep that up, if I don't educate my 10-year-old son, I can't leave it for anybody else to do it.
At home.
At home. It starts at home.
Yeah.
I want to come to you, Ma'am. Same thought. The whole idea of passing the educational value on. You have a different platform. How can you use your platform as an elected official, as a mayor of a city that is a growing city, that is cannot be looked at as an ordinary city? DeSoto is a thriving, growing city. How can you use your platform to get these messages out?
I think, and my colleague talked about having authority and getting in places of authority. And while we've talked about it, right, there are people all throughout history that didn't hold public office, or they may not have been the official leader by title, but they have literally changed the course of history with things that they were doing. And it wasn't necessarily that they had a seat, although I do believe there's some change you can only make when you get a seat at the table, but they use their influence in that way.
Correct.
And that's one of the things that I pray every day in terms of asking God to give me the wisdom on how to steward the level of influence that he has been placing on my life. And I do it through different programs, through different initiatives that we do, especially for our young people, because they have to see that representation. No matter if that is through we do an internship program, so that allows the students to come in to actually see what happens in their city, because many people, young people that I talk to, they don't know how their city functions. They don't know who's running the day-to-day operations. They don't know how policy works. They don't know how, who oversees the police department and all these things. And that's why I say, we talk about all of the national things we hear and about what's happening in the White House and what's happening in Congress, but the things that we do on the local level will impact you faster than anything that Donald Trump is doing. I know it doesn't appear that way because they hold the headlines hostage, but the things that we do in terms of your quality of life, the things that impact you financially, those things are what are so important. And so I try to use any opportunity that I have to, number one, educate people on what your local elected officials do, and not even just talking about your city council, but your judges, right? Your city managers. Who are these people? Because again, the decisions we make are the ones that you all live with day to day. And so I'd love to be in a position to where, again, we can use that level of influence that we have to be able to pass that stuff on and to be able to open young people's eyes. I love when I'm working with young people and I see the light bulb go off and they find that thing, that issue that they see in their city that now I want to be in a position to where I can fix it. We've had so many students to be able to go through my internship program and they come back and actually then work for the city, or they go on to college to do things and to do projects and to bring light to issues that are happening in our communities. And I love being able to be in a position to where that level of influence can be used for that purpose.
Excellent. Okay, guys, so I want to use some words, and I want to get actually a phrase or word that comes to mind. I'll start with you, Councilman. When you hear the word freedom.
Well, when I hear freedom, my response to that is, you got to remember, it's not free.
Okay, good. All right. Judge, I want to come to you. Justice.
Okay, hold on. I want to lean over and look at Councilman Waters' answer.
He said it's not politically
Oh,
correct.
okay. Because he has
Look on
answers
his
for all of
paper.
them, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. But when I look at
do with
justice,
justice?
if you break that up, right, it is, when you see justice, the word us is in there.
Okay.
Us. So if we're thinking of justice, we're thinking of fairness, we're thinking of equality, we're thinking of we all are in this together. So when I think of justice, justice to me is what is fair, what is equal to everybody. That is what justice is to me.
Okay. Mayor, reparations.
Reparations. Is overdue one word?
Come on now. It nailed it.
It's overdue.
Absolutely.
Nailed it. Reverend A, church.
One word.
One word or a phrase that comes to mind.
Church. Foundation.
Good.
Yeah, that's good, Pastor.
Councilman, youth.
Our future.
Good. Judge, power.
Strength.
Okay. And Mayor, equity.
Oh, equity. A right.
Okay, I like that. So we started by
Wait.
talking.
Go
ahead.
I got to get some of that.
Go ahead.
Get it?
I like what you said. Equity is a right, but right now it's an illusion.
Ooh,
Wow.
That's deep.
Wow.
that's deep.
So let's juxtapose on what you said, right?
What that mean?
Throwing out these words.
What you say?
He just said auspicious and now juxtapose what? No, I'm just playing. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. All right.
Because you really you're saying something. You're making a statement that has profound implications in terms of Black history, and it goes into what we are talking about tonight. So are we building on legacy, or cycling through familiar battles? Because I asked that question in the context of what I see happening now. What is happening in Minnesota was frightening for me to witness in real time.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
everything is in real time.
Yeah.
What I saw happen when police officer put his knee on this man's neck and see his last breath
Come on.
out of him.
Come on.
It's
In real time.
in real
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We are lucky that we had some kind of footage to see what happened, or else we'd have had to just take a story.
Sure.
Correct.
So are we building on legacy, or are we recycling familiar battles when it was the water hoses,
Wow.
when it was the whips? Give me your thoughts on that.
You know, I just think the methods have changed, but the message has remained the same. We were never meant to be equal. Never meant to be. And you can see powers in place to make sure that that comes to fruition.
That's right.
We've made progress. I mean, we talked about it. First African-American president and President Barack Obama, and not to even discount the first African-American woman vice president under the Biden administration. Yes, we've made strides, but there have been things that have been purposefully put in place to keep us in place, because this thing about being the uppity, you know what? Oh, it's real. Because I feel that as we go forward, powers that be are steps ahead to make sure that we're going to cut them off right here.
Yes.
You know, when I was coming up, it wasn't talked about much, but it was happening. They were building prisons based on fourth graders and third graders.
Yes.
That didn't make headlines. But you look now, you have private prisons that were based on those statistics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there was a plan to have our black and brown people in these institutions. And so, are we making progress? Yes, we are, but I think we are somewhat a step behind. My sister Maya just said it. When we talk about voting, we have not taken the time to say, listen, voting for the president, that's a good thing, but the local elections, that's where
Yes.
where it affects you. That's where it affects your paycheck, where it affects that you have cross guards in your neighborhood, whether the potholes are fixed in whether the street lights are fixed in your neighborhood. I mean, your day-to-day living. Yeah, the presidential vote, that's one thing, but that people don't understand. Before the president can touch you, the folks that are in your city touch you first.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's an election for just that. And if you bypass that to put the power in place for the authority or the authority for the power, that's already been taken care of. While you're looking at who's going to be the next president, all of this is happening under the undercurrent. And if I keep you ignorant, keeping you look at what happens in the White House and ignore what's happening right down here in your city courthouse, then I got you.
Yep.
So I want to come to you, Mayam. This whole idea of the economic wealth gap, you would have a better overview as to the quality of life that we are seeing in DeSoto. And you would understand where property taxes, how are people be able to take care of that, the purchasing power that people have to purchase new homes and to pay rent in certain neighborhoods and stuff like that. Medium household wealth is significantly lower between black and white. How do you respond to that in the seat that you now occupy?
Well, I think looking at it overall, because there's a challenge that we face, and not even just DeSoto, and speaking specifically of DeSoto, actually, when you look at the surrounding cities, DeSoto has one of the higher average household incomes was over six figures. But that's not the norm when we talk about Southern Dallas County. And one of the things that I say, for us, a lot of the challenges that we still fight, because even people that are making six figures oftentimes are statistically still living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, ma'am.
And there are so many things that we don't have access to when we talk about the wealth gap and all of the things and the redlining that has happened in our community. And so I tell people all the time, oftentimes we talk about, well, you know, we get people to say, well, we want this grocery store and we want this retail and we want, you know, these things to come to our community. And a lot of, I said, now, if we had a magic wand and we could wave it, I said we would have had those things decades ago. But I said I think there's some systemic things that have that we're working against oftentimes that people don't even know. We have to sometimes fight harder to keep things out of our community that we don't want than we can be able to fight to bring stuff in because of all the things that are coming at us. And I mean, you can just, we don't have enough time to talk about, you know, the line of demarcation when we talk about North and South and some of the challenges that we fight. And it's a fight that we're all fighting when we talk about how do we actually overcome that. And I know for us, one of the things that we've had to realize is that nobody's coming in on a white horse to save DeSoto or any of our cities. And, you know, I speak specifically about my community because it's the one that I have the jurisdiction over. And so we've had to really get intentional about being strategic and about all the things that are, and finding out what is in our control that we can change and shift for our city. And we're doing that incrementally, but it has definitely been an uphill battle for us as elected leaders to really figure out how can we try to identify areas where we can control some of those things that are really systemic.
Correct.
And I have to agree with you. Some of it is much of an illusion to feel like are we ever going to get there? Because some days I know as a leader, you know, and I feel very discouraged because looking at some of those things that we just feel like the closer we get, then it just feels like
They move the goalposts.
They move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I, if I could just expound on that, I mean, you look at how neighborhoods are set up. Again, my church, I say this with pride. I'm in the hood. All right, 76016 is the zip code. If y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that's still Oak Cliff. At the corner where my church is, okay, Overton and Bonneview, I took a good look. You can't get any fresh vegetables nowhere around
It's a food
there.
desert.
It is a food desert.
Yeah.
But you can get some liquor everywhere,
Every corner,
right? I haven't seen any pawn shops, but it used to be liquor stores and pawn shops where you're going to make sure you get drunk and kill yourselves.
Yeah.
Nothing healthy. So not even a clinic is within walking distance over there. So, and I don't think me noticing it, I wasn't the first person to notice that. It's some folks that are in charge that know that but are doing nothing about it. But until we as a people start demanding these things. So if I keep you sick, if I keep you uneducated, you're not a threat. I can make sure I police you because it's a policeman every other block.
Yeah.
But where can I get a head of lettuce? You know, and things like that. So that's why, you know, part of my vision, we're gonna get a garden going on that side of town, and I need to talk to some folks in charge on how we can get that done. But it's things like that. If I can keep you impoverished, if I can keep you sedated with alcohol, if I can keep you unhealthy, and then make you unhealthy, but not even give you a doctor to go to in your own neighborhood, I got you.
Yeah.
Because now you're not even worried about what's going on. You're just surviving. Not even survive. You're just existing. And so with things like that, that's just a pinch of what's going on in the whole nation. We're making sure that this suppression stays suppressing, but nobody's taking the time to say, hey, wait a minute, this ain't right.
This ain't fair.
Like why do I have to catch a bus to go to the grocery store?
Yeah. Councilman, you talked about this whole idea of power and authority. Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. Because something came to mind. Do you have the opportunity? Well, I'm sure you have the opportunity to interact with the younger generation. If the question is asked, why did you get into politics? Why didn't you become a police officer, school teacher, do something else? Why did you choose to get involved in politics? What do you say to a teenager or to a next gen? If that question is asked to you, why did you choose to do this?
Well, that's a very good question. Me personally, I never thought about being a politician a day in my life. But I've been in the community since 2003. When I say community, I mean actually doing stuff, giving back to DeSoto in various ways. Okay, so that's what I've been doing. So really the only reason why the thought even came across my mind is I had people ask me from the community, hey, you ever thought about running for city council? You know, I told them, nah, never thought about it, and not interested in all the fame and showboating, but I guess here you go.
And he just pointed.
And
he just pointed.
But after enough people asked me, I was like, well, maybe God trying to tell me something here.
Right.
And so it literally took 10, I kid you not, took 10 different people that I respect to get me over the edge to foul, and I ended up fouling at 4 o'clock the last day.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, but what I'm doing here today is just a bigger scale of what I've been doing. So it's no different from what I've been doing.
Right.
What's exciting to me is now I can do it at a bigger scale and help the whole community in a bigger way, and specifically my district.
Right.
Right.
You know, so we can thrive and get to the next level as a city. So,
Right.
but
It's good stuff.
the community asked me to do it only because I've been in the community so long. Okay,
Right.
So they know
right.
I don't just
So,
talk
but
about
what do you say
stuff.
to young people who are, because the truth of the matter is we need to see young people getting involved. When I hear the mayor talking about how many years she spent on the city council, that is giving your life to your community. And a lot of people think that there is a lot of financial reward that comes with that, but it really is not. It's just having a selfless heart for your community. What do you say to them? Because the average young person that I interact with, they're thinking about dollars.
They're bad.
They're not thinking about getting involved in the political processes. What do you say to them?
Well, I would say that as far as getting into politics, you have to have a heart to help the people, really.
Correct.
Right.
Because that's what you're doing if you're doing it for the right reason.
Yes.
And if you are doing that for that reason, then you should be successful. Now, you would also, I would tell them this, you would have to actually be a people person.
Should be there.
You have to be that because you have to do a lot of people.
Right.
So, but I know it's not for everybody, but I would tell them this. You want to do what either A, you're good at, or B, where I guess you can say God leads you to go. But you don't want to, as far as politics, you don't want to force it into something that's not you, because if not, you're not going to be effective. Okay?
Right.
So you want to go where you're most effective and where your talents are and where your purpose is. If you can find your purpose, do that.
Yeah.
Because if you find your purpose and do that, then you will make a difference
That
in
part.
whatever area you're supposed to make a difference.
Right on. Right
Okay.
on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So I don't know if that answered the question or
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
but
it did. It did.
Yeah.
It did. It did. I think it sends a good, clear message to the next generation if they have thoughts of doing that. I want to kind of bring some closing to the conversation. This is so rich. We could probably spend another 2 hours here. I want to ask you, Judge, do you believe that today's challenges are new or repackaged?
Wow.
I think they're repackaged. I do. I think it's kind of like when you look at what was that latest thing they did? Did y'all see this summer, Cracker Barrel? How they
Yes.
repackaged
Yeah.
and they rebranded, but then all the people were like, no, we want the man sitting on there. That's kind of what we do sometimes
Yeah.
with this, right? It is the same problems that they probably were facing back in 1964, back in 1965. We are still facing those same problems. I know that in church Sunday they were singing the song, "We shall overcome, we have overcome." I think we're still climbing.
Okay.
I think we're still climbing. And so I think, of course, we do get new problems. We get new things that happen when we start getting better or we start getting these households that have 6 figures. What they say, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But to your point, I think it is just repackaged. I think that we got to figure out a way to get to the root of it.
Reverend Tate, the role of the Black church in civic accountability.
When you say civic accountability, what exactly you mean?
Well, today I think that you touched on it a little bit, but I think that we find ourselves in a position where people don't feel they can trust the church.
oh, well, yeah.
From a
yeah.
whole civic perspective. So, what role do you see the church having in that level of accountability?
Okay, well, I have to talk to my brothers and sisters that are pastors. Let's keep it real. I think for a big sector of ministry, we've lost our focus. Okay, we want the celebrity, but not the servanthood.
Right.
Let's just keep it real. We've turned this into a position of celebrity and not the posture of a servant. And it's lucrative. Let me be honest. Being a senior pastor can be a lucrative
Yeah.
position, right? But I think there needs to be a big Control Alt Delete, where we just reset. Because we veered off. I'm serious. I hear a lot of things that come from pulpits, and I'm like, how is that lining up with the word and our
make
whole
sense.
mission? Like, what we doing here?
Yeah.
And that'll make the headlines, and that'll make the focus where you got folks in your congregation that's hungry. They lights getting cut off. They're not, And so I think there's a lot of Control Alt Delete. First, starting with leadership. There's some folks in it for the wrong reason, and it needs to be exposed. Now check it out. If that floats your boat, you want to follow somebody that's in for the wrong reason, do you? But at least for those of us that are doing it the right reason, challenging your congregation to step up, because we can have church on a Sunday, but we leave church and do nothing.
Right.
I'm like, you'll leave this congregation and won't even speak at the folks at the store that you're shopping in. Or check this out, you'll leave your side of town to go to another side of town to spend your money. Why you didn't go to the corner store right there in the hood
Right.
and buy your chicken for the Sunday dinner? So I just think there's a big need for recalibrating for all members involved, from the top to the bottom. We have to recalibrate. Control Alt Delete. That's the best thing. We need to do a big reset.
That's great. Councilman, political responsibility versus community responsibility.
It will kind of go hand in hand, actually, because you can do stuff in community, to try to make a difference. It's good. You need to do that, right? But at the same time, you do need to, at least at a minimum, at least vote.
At a minimum.
At a minimum, because, you still need to try to affect the political side of things as much you can on the local level, because if you don't, have a say-so in the politics side of it, on your local level, then you can't really complain when your elected officials that you didn't even vote
Yeah.
Right.
do something that make policies that affect you and you think you got wronged is a bad
Right.
policy or something like that. Well, you got to at least get in the process some kind of way.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Get
think
in
they
the
go hand in
process.
hand
They do.
Yes.
to work correctly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mayor,
absolutely.
what does real empowerment look like in 2026?
I think real empowerment, the first thing that popped in my mind, Pastor, when you asked that question was education.
Yeah.
Our people perish for a lack of knowledge. And I think kind of tying everything together, I think that's the role of the black church. I think that's the role of even our government.
Right.
Because I feel like you need to inspect what you expect. I think there's some of our constituents, right, who feel like the 7 people that sit on that dais can change everything on their own just by being elected. Well, we elected you to do a job. Well, it's still all of our job. And if you, and as my colleague said, we could be doing, hopefully we're doing the right thing. But if you're not showing up to meetings, if you're
Come
not
on.
coming down there, if you're not speaking, if you're not
Come
serving
on.
on boards and commissions, if you're not volunteering at the schools, if you're not, you know what I'm saying,
Come on.
doing
Yeah.
these things in the community, how can you expect 7 people to bear that entire weight
Yeah.
and make decisions
Yeah.
for you?
Yeah.
I always say nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
So we need you all at the meetings and giving
Yeah.
direction and
Yeah.
at the town hall meetings giving feedback and giving your feedback about what you want to see in the budget,
Right.
right? Those things that are important to you all, because I could feel like I know what those
Yeah.
things are. But we need you all to help guide us. And yes, we are your elected leaders. And for logistics, it works well with just 7 of us sitting up there to make that. But we need to make sure that we're representing your interests.
Right.
And we can't do that if you never show up. And then when something hits your household or it impacts you personally, then you want to storm down
And 9 times
to the
out of 10,
meetings.
that's
with
already
pitchfork.
been passed.
It's already
coulda voted
you've
on that.
already voted and hit the gavel. By the
That
time
part.
you found out about it,
Yeah.
and now you're mad about it and you're in your feelings about it, and we have to see your Facebook post for the next 2 weeks.
And that
And-
part,
and
we will put the
even-
energy into
exactly.
social media,
Social
and
media.
you
Even
could
if
have been
it's
at the meeting.
Even if
could've
it's
been
a
at the
small
meeting.
thing or a little thing, as the mayor knows, my husband might be the grass. He has no problem calling his city council and bless his heart, whether it's Councilman Byrd or even the mayor. My husband will sit up there and want to talk to you about, well, why this patch ain't been
Yeah.
Sir, are
And you better have an answer.
Yeah. Sir, are you talking about these things? But that's important
That's
Yeah.
important.
to him. And
Yeah.
so, as we're all saying here, if you don't engage in where you live, work, and play, right? I mean, if you can't touch the person who are your leaders in your community, you see them in Walmart.
Yeah.
You know, they know that you care about your precinct, about your district, about your place, or whatever position it is that you're running for on the ballot. And I love what you said, Councilman. You can't complain if you don't get in the game.
Yeah,
You,
Yeah.
you can't.
We
You
don't
just
wanna
can't.
hear
What a conversation we have had tonight. I really want to
Amazing.
thank each and every one of you for taking time out to be here with us. As we close out, I want to get one statement of empowerment that you would leave with our viewing audience tonight. One statement of empowerment. I would start with you, Reverend A, and come around the table.
Vote. Go vote and know why you're voting for who you're voting for. Do some research. You can look up the plot to the latest Tyler Perry movie. You can look up who's these elected officials that you are supposed to vote for. Get out and vote.
Pastor just threw my whole
My bad.
Take all the
I done forgot what I was going to say.
because I'm thinking of the next
No.
Tyler Perry movie.
I'm gonna pick back up what I said. Get involved. Find something that's important to you, even if it's picking up litter.
Yeah.
Right. Get you a street team together every other Saturday. You all go clean up your street, but in some way, whether big or small, get involved in
Yeah,
what's happening in your
Yeah,
community.
that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, excuse me, I had, so we're talking about history tonight. I had 2 quotes that I want to leave everybody with. So one is, this is not the exact wording, but
Yeah,
it's
you
a
do your
saying
thing.
that everybody needs to
Okay.
kind of remember. But if you don't know history, then you're actively in the process of repeating it.
Oh, okay.
And also, anyone that doesn't know their history is like a tree with no roots. It's just a matter of time before it will fall.
There you
Oh.
go.
That's good.
So
That's good.
you
Love
know
that.
your history first, so you can correctly go into the future.
That's
All
good.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Judge?
Do something.
Come on.
Do something. That's all we need you to do. Do something.
Good.
Hey, that's
Um,
what she told
Thi-
John
thi-
Q.
this was
Do
such a-
something.
this was such a, in my estimation, a rewarding conversation. You know, we talking about empowerment, and before we close, I want to leave a thought with us too, but I want to thank each person for coming live on this platform
Thank
tonight.
you for having me,
Thank you
man.
for being a part of this conversation. Thanks also to our social media platform, and we are appreciative of this medium that Community Missionary Baptist Church has created for us to do this program. This coming Wednesday, our babies, our kids will be doing their Black History Month production or creative arts ministry.
Shout out to my son, Ryan
yeah.
Matthew Kelly.
And that's at 6:30 p.m. We really want to come out and give them support, and that's part of our way of beginning the teaching process very early. You know, I'm thinking about empowerment, and my mind goes straight to this thought that many times we strive to climb the ladder of success, only to reach to the top and realize it's leaning against the wrong building. We really had to process what we are doing in the time in which we find ourselves,
Yeah.
because legacy without accountability becomes nostalgic. Leadership without faith becomes strategy without soul. And I like what I'm hearing from the panel tonight. So I want to say to those of you looking at us, the road ahead requires courage, collaboration, and conviction.
Yeah.
The question is not whether we have made history. The question is how will we steward it?
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you, God bless you, and have a wonderful rest of your night.
Amen.
Thank you.